You're about to watch a very intriguing video where I explain more about the work of Emanuel Swedenborg. His brilliant body of work is spiritually based, and I'm talking about how understanding states, the state of mind and life and being that we travel in and out of, how understanding this can uplevel your mental health. Dive in, enjoy it, and I strongly recommend that after you watch the video, head on over to the channel Off the Left Eye and subscribe. This is where you can learn more about the brilliant work of Emanuel Swedenborg, and I have the link in the content portion of the video below. So enjoy your time. Thank you.
Our featured speaker is Sheila Robinson-Kiss. She has been a friend and contributor to the Off the Left Eye work as a presenter for our 2022 Off the Left Eye Becoming an Angel experience. An MSNBC, NBCLX, and Psychology Today contributing expert, Sheila Robinson-Kiss is a social entrepreneur focused on providing exceptional mental health education on a grassroots, national, and global scale. She is the author of 6 books and was recently honored as a Blue Cross, Blue Shield, and New Jersey Biz Healthcare Education Hero of the Year. She is a clinically trained, licensed therapist and the founder of the Rebalancing America and Beyond initiative, a national wellness education platform. Her latest book and project, The Busy Lie, focuses on how we can use practical strategies and tools to feel good consistently while grounding ourselves spiritually and emotionally. Sheila lives on the East Coast with her family, where she enjoys perfecting her cookie recipes and taking long bike rides with her Yorkie Gizmo. Please join me in welcoming Sheila Robinson-Kiss.
Thank you so much, Tim, for that wonderful introduction. And I want to give a hearty shout out to everyone, the full team at the Swedenborg Foundation. I really fell in love with the Off the Left Eye channel and then the Swedenborg Foundation because of the beautiful work that you are doing for humanity. So it is simply a privilege and my pleasure to be here and share with all of you. So again, that said, welcome. And what I would love to do before we dive into this very robust topic, you know, how to use Swedenborg's teaching to help manage stress, life, mental health, and relationships. I just want to take a moment to connect everyone to my why. Who am I? Why do I do this work? Again, my name is Sheila Robinson-Kiss. I grew up in a little town called Joliet, Illinois. If you've heard of Joliet, you know we're only famous for one thing, and that is Statesville Maximum Security Prison. I grew up a stone's throw from that prison. My mother was clinically depressed. My father was an alcoholic. And by the time I left home, I knew something was not right. I really didn't have a name for it, but I spent a substantial amount of time getting myself straightened out. And once I did that, with the help of a lot of different angels and just good people that I met along the way, I made the decision to dedicate my life to lifting up others through relevant, practical, real world information about mental health. And Swedenborg's teachings came into my life and have been a major catalyst for transformation for me. And I have used these teachings over the years to help others heal, elevate, grow, look at their lives in fresh new and powerful ways. So what I'd like to do today is focus. It's a very nuanced focus today. I want to talk about how understanding states of mind, the states of being that we live in and move in and out of, can really up-level our lives and mental health. You see this fudge cake on your screen. I've said for many years that Swedenborg's teachings, they're like fudge cake, better by the slice. It doesn't take a whole lot to really fill us up. Very satisfying, rich content, not just in Heaven and Hell, but in all of his works. So having said that, I would love for everyone to just get yourself relaxed here, and our journey begins right now. We're going to dive into this topic of how understanding more about states can up-level our lives. I would ask you just for a moment to please close your eyes. Please close your eyes wherever you are tuning in. And I'd like you to imagine that you are standing on a platform. You're waiting for a train, and all your bags are packed. There's a great sense of excitement in the air, and there's many other souls standing on this platform waiting to board the train with you. Now, finally, the train has arrived, and the captain calls out, "All aboard! Get your tickets ready. We are going to visit a number of states." You find a comfortable seat, and the train slowly gathers speed. Within a condensed period of time, you travel through every imaginable state you could think of. Some of the states are small, others are large. Some produce a sense of excitement within you, yet a few seem to make you sad. Still, passing through some states makes you feel more neutral than anything else. The range of perspectives, feelings, emotions, and thoughts you experience is varied and stunning. Traveling through the states in our lives is truly fascinating. I'd like you to please open your eyes. The reality is this: we will travel in and out of states from the time we're born to the time we cross over. This has always been, and truly it will always be. I want to connect everyone to what states, your state of mind, your state of being, what that dictates in everyday life. Here's a short list. Your state will dictate what you hear or what is said, what you ignore, how much you value others, how much you value yourself, your perceptions, your interests, who and what you respect, your loves and dislikes, whether you choose to seek revenge and hold on to the offense, or whether you choose emotional freedoms, how you use your time, how you see your time, the ability to move on or get hooked, what you attract or what you repel. So states really dominate our lives. And when I first heard, or should I say, when I first read about states in Heaven and Hell, I found it so intriguing, and I could relate to it on just about every level, because there's our own personal states of being, and then we can just fan out and think about the condition and state of the world that we live in. They say that it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to support a healthy adult. I want to share with you before we go deeper into the program some very interesting facts, statistics about the current state of the village, which really highlight how much the world now more than ever needs the teachings of Emanuel Swedenborg. The Family Institute a couple years ago came out with a research study. 25 years ago, we know that most people reported they had 4 or 5 people solidly in their corner. I mean, these were their ride or die friends or family. I can absolutely count on these folks. Now, fast forward to today, any guess what that number is? It's shockingly low. It is 0 to 1. Most people today report that they have 0 to 1 other individuals that they can depend on. And if you don't fall into that category, I would say count yourself extremely blessed. Now, 13% of people who need mental health support, only 13% will receive adequate support for what is going on with them mentally. So that number, that's a low number as well. And it lets us know that there's a good chance you're going to be working next to someone, sharing life with someone. Someone is going to be in your life, and I'll put this in quotes, who is not okay. This is why, and I say this to audiences all over the world, supporting our mental health, up-leveling in every way, making time to build those powerful resilience plans. This is no longer optional. It is truly an obligation. And I think that one of the ways we can up-level our mental health is by being aware of these states that we move in and out of, and really tapping into some key strategies and techniques to support ourselves. And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. What you're looking at, and I think many of you can probably relate to some of the words you're seeing. Here's just a short list. I developed a list of 46 states that we move in and out of in a lifetime, but this is the condensed version. Sadness, euphoria, depression, neutrality, envy, lust, despondency, hopelessness, anger, confusion, and joy. And again, this is really just a short list. And what I want to connect everyone to is this. It is very easy, particularly when we fall into states that, let's say, there are less than desirable. The temptation is to become the ostrich and put our head in the sand. And I'm going to invite you, if you're not already in with this particular practice, I'm going to invite you today to begin to resist nothing. Resist nothing. What do I mean by that? That's not an invitation to kind of take your hands off the wheel of life. What I'm saying is this: every state that we pass through leaves us with a gift. There is information, there is intel that particular state, particularly if it's a state that we would deem undesirable, there's information there. I'll give you an example. A woman reached out many years ago for therapy, and she said, I'm angry, Sheila, all the time. And I have done everything in my power to deal with this anger, to turn away from it. I've prayed, you've named it. I've had so much therapy. And I said, well, have you ever tried sitting with this particular state, sitting with it and actually asking, what are you here to tell me? Where are you coming from? And we did a lot of specialized work, but to make a long story short, she was so angry because for most of her life, she was not expressing herself. This started when she was a little girl. It carried over into her adulthood. So this anger had welled up within her. And what happened? She became fused. She became fused inside of this particular state. But by learning more about it, and tracing her steps backwards, she was able to say, you know what? It's not so much that I'm angry. Anger is knocking on my door. What this has to do with is I need to cultivate my voice. That's the gift of the state. That's what the state was trying to share and inform her of. So if we can have the courage, if we can have the courage to really sit inside our states, doesn't have to be forever, but to learn from them. What is this state knocking on my door to share with me? There are tremendous benefits that come from understanding more about the states that we move in and out of. A few of those benefits, let me share, and then I want to get into some stories with you. Less stress, more bounce back, more compassion. For me, I think the greatest benefit of really diving into Swedenborg's work around states has been more harmony within, better relationships, and certainly looking at people and circumstances, whereas before, hey, are you just put on this planet to irritate me? No, this is an individual who is in a certain state, and I don't need to always be in reaction. I can also respond with greater levels of compassion and move into proactivity. So that's only one of the ways that Swedenborg's teachings have blessed my life. A realization of usefulness, and I'll talk about that in just a second, and understanding the influence that the inflow of heaven and hell has in our lives. So again, this is just a few of the benefits that we will talk about today, and hopefully we'll go further into this within the Q&A portion of the program. Another benefit to really looking at states on a deeper level is how much it exposes the work around usefulness that is weaved throughout Swedenborg's work. He talks at length about the power of making positive use of everything. This has been a huge theme for me in my work with individuals and families. I had a woman to reach out, and she was absolutely devastated, heartbroken, and engagement was canceled. And she said, Sheila, I wake up every day and I just feel like a Mack truck has run me over. And one of the things that I have found to be true about spiritually minded people, people who are spiritually minded, they somehow organically and naturally understand Swedenborg's themes. I would say that 99% of the folks that I have worked with, and I have introduced Swedenborg's work, which I do on a regular basis, much the same way that I did, they take to it like a fish to water. It's something about the practicality. I think it just speaks to the soul, and it opens us up on so many levels. So as we moved further into the work, I began to introduce Swedenborg's work around usefulness and making a positive use of everything. And just for a short period of time, she struggled to find any piece of usefulness inside of her broken heart. And one day we had something of an epiphany together. And I turned to her and I said, you know what, as we were working on this list, I said, one of the things that a broken heart is very good for is letting us know that our heart is working. Yes, it broke. And yes, you loved and you lost that relationship, but it speaks to the fact that your heart is working. You took a risk, and hearts break, but they also repair. And there was something about just that little bit, that nugget of usefulness. You know what? It is working. It is working. I cannot believe that my heart had the capacity to love like that. And it must mean I'm going to have the capacity to love like that again. So we start to see how going further into states, understanding the states, not running from it, and then we join that piece of information of Swedenborg's work, we pair that with usefulness, and you can see how everything that Swedenborg is teaching, it's building blocks that just build beautifully on one another. Or maybe we can think of it as Legos that, every piece and one way or another, it just snaps together brilliantly. Another benefit that has been very useful for me is understanding through Swedenborg's work more about the inflow from heaven and hell and how this impacts our moods and our lives. I cannot tell you how many groups and individuals, once they're introduced to this work, it's healing upon impact because it's an aha moment. Oh my goodness, I thought that was me, or I have struggled with this for years. I never heard about, or I never considered that there are influences acting upon me at any given time that flow through heaven or hell. I mean, to an extent, that's an entirely different program. Maybe we'll get into that further into the Q&A, but let me share a story with you about how really, going into the underbelly of this topic of inflow makes a tremendous difference in our lives. A man had reached out and he shared with me, Sheila, I have always gotten along extremely well with my coworkers. I can't understand the changes that I am going through right now. I no longer have the desire to go to lunch with them. I'm finding fault not just with my coworkers. I'm finding fault with family members. There's a negativity that is very foreign to me. And when people begin to talk to me about swings in mood and changes, and there's a negativity attached to it, again, where there is an opening, if that person is spiritually minded, or there's a base there that is firm, is ripe for me to, this is another person who may benefit from Swedenborg. And I literally have created this worksheet. It's just a checklist. It's a Swedenborgian checklist. Are these the things that are happening for you? Yeah, check this box, check this box, check this box. Well, this may be due to inflow from hell. And I'm just very straightforward with it. And again, folks take to it like a fish to water. Well, Sheila, it makes perfect sense. And once they are open to that concept, then we are able to talk about, okay, if there's inflow coming in from hell, if you're experiencing that influence, what are some things that can be done to counteract that energy, to ground you? And so a number of folks, including myself, I don't teach or work with anyone in ways that I don't, all the techniques, all the teachings from Swedenborg, I use them in my life on a daily basis. And we talked about building a beautiful prayer wall. And that was very welcoming to this individual. Absolutely, this is something that resonates with me. And a prayer wall is simply exactly what it sounds like, in your own way, asking for that protection from the Lord and from your angels, and with great intention, funneling more positivity into your life through gratitude, other acts of kindness. But the greater point is that understanding how we fall into these hellish states, and the fact that it's not always, this, what's happening to me so random. Often it is I call it the thuggish energy from hell that is not going to knock on your door with a plate of cookies. Hey, do I have permission to harass you or to attack you? No, these feelings, these emotions, they start interfering with our daily life. And again, by understanding Swedenborg's work on a deeper level, it's very empowering, because we know there is always something that we can do for ourselves to uplevel by joining forces with our angels and the hand of God. More compassion for yourself and others. I have to be completely transparent and say, before diving into Swedenborg's work, I wouldn't call myself super judgmental, but I had a lot of little thoughts about people. If I didn't understand something, there could easily be a thought or a judgment generated. And what understanding states more has helped me to appreciate is, just as an individual could travel to Alaska. Alaska is very different from the climate in Arizona. When you exist in a different state, it makes perfect sense where people can share a life with someone and be in completely different states at any given point in time. The way you feel, your wants, your desires, what you think is great, what you may think is wonderful. If someone is simply existing in a different state, what are you going to be angry about if there's conflict? You're going to be angry that they're just, they're in a different state than you. They're not there, or you're not there. Let me give you another example, a story here. I was working with a woman, and she was so angry. She was in her late 40s. She had spent 2 years in foster care between the ages of 13 and 15. And she held on to what she felt was a slight and an affront from her parents for many, many years. I mean, by this point in her 40s, this had happened so long ago, but it was still very much affecting her. We started working with Swedenborg's concept of states, and really building out some therapeutic maps and timelines. And I asked her, you do realize that before they were your parents, they were babies at one time, they were toddlers, they were teenagers, and they had you very young. And when they did have you, they were literally, both of them, in and out of drug-induced states for many years. let's sit and think about what it would be like to function in a drug-induced state. How well do you think you could function as a 17 and 18-year-old with a baby in a drug-induced state? Let's take a trip to that state. And it was that work, it was Swedenborg's work that illuminated her eyes. And really, it was a catalyst for very deep, transformative forgiveness. You know, both of your parents are still on the planet. They've been trying to heal this wound with you for many years. And through understanding more about the state that they were in and the states that she had been in, that really freed her to eventually enjoy a warm relationship with them before they passed on. And it was beautiful to see because a couple years after the reunification, her mother passed and her father became very ill. So you can see this gorgeous ripple effect of Swedenborg's work in practical ways. I think we can read about Swedenborg. It's great to have tea and coffee and all that good stuff and discuss. But I believe that if Swedenborg were present in this Zoom room, I suspect he would say, yes, please read my books. I'm very complimented by that. I love that, but I want you to live out the lessons and live out the work. That is the greatest compliment you could give to my legacy. I want to share with you before we prepare to move into the question and answer session. These are 3 lessons that have transformed my life, and they are inspired by Swedenborg's work. The first one is this, and I believe with all my heart that we are here to experience for God. I believe that where we go, the Lord travels with us. I don't think, this is my personal opinion here, in my heart, and Swedenborg talks about our innermost, what are our loves and what is our life. He draws a distinction there. And in my innermost heart, I don't believe that the Lord is set apart from us and watching over us. I believe that whatever we experience, the Lord is experiencing it simultaneously with us. That is how I have organized my spiritual world and spiritual beliefs. Well, how has that benefited me in practical ways? And Swedenborg has inspired these thoughts and opinions and ideas within me. I hit a valley moment some years ago, and I felt myself slipping into a bit of a funk, a bit of a depression. And I was sitting, going further and further inward into myself. I had this thought, wow, if the Lord is here with me, and I know that he is, then God is having a depressed experience too. I don't want God to have a depressed experience with me. Maybe the Lord would prefer to be at the beach. Maybe we need to just get our clothes on and get to the beach. And that's exactly what I did. And once I got to the beach and enjoying the sun, well, God is here with me experiencing this. Maybe God would like to jump into the ocean and have a swim. And that's exactly what I did. And I cannot tell you how many days since this inflow came into my spirit. To this day, that is how I deal with the dips and the funks of life. I'm here to experience for the glory of God. And in as much as I can, not that, I'm a human being, I dip, but that knowledge, that inflow pulls me up and pulls me out of that state quickly. See, it's using the inspiration of Swedenborg in practical ways. Secondly, the Lord can support you in or out of any state. And I believe we can help. I think that It's easy to underestimate the power of asking God for help when, particularly, the joyful states, we enjoy them. But when we are in diminished states, so often we can be fused inside of that state and forget that the angels are present. The Lord is present, and asking is effective. I've had many situations, as many of you have, you know, Father, for your grace, I'm in over my head on this one. Help me. You will be lifted. You will be lifted out of those states. It's just so important to get into the daily practice of joining with the Lord, asking for the protection. Angels walk with me, travel with me, inspire me. It makes a difference. And then lastly, I want to connect everyone to this Swedenborg inspired thematic. The more you support others into elevated states, the more joy you will experience in life. I think the ultimate hellish state is going so far into ourselves that we disconnect from community and from humanity and from the importance of supporting one another. I created a video, and it talks about the power of repurposing our triggers. Sometimes we get into these low states and we're triggered. I want to separate. I want to go further into the problem. I think a word, an inspired word from Swedenborg, to repurpose that trigger and say, you know what, perhaps what I need to do is turn outward and see where I can be of help and see where I can be of service. So, in many ways, I feel like I'm just scratching the surface. However, we're going to transition shortly into the Q&A, and in the interest of time, I'm going to end on a few notes. I think, again, if Emanuel Swedenborg were here, he would say it's so important. Don't run from life and the people in it. Live it courageously. Use the tools and wisdom available to you. And I hope that some of the information I have shared with you will help you to do just that. I created a bonus program for all of you. Again, as you can see, I could talk and talk and talk and keep going because this is one of my favorite topics, spirituality and Swedenborg. But I rolled it into a special bonus message for all of you. And I would love you to visit IamTheHeroInMyLife.com. That is IamTheHeroInMyLife.com, and claim that bonus message for yourself. We'll get that out to you right away. Lastly, this is an awesome community. And inside of the Swedenborg Foundation Off the Left Eye community, we're getting together and we're talking, and we come inside of community and we lift each other up all the time. If you are not a part of this community, you need to become a part of this community because it's value added. It's the real deal. It is warm. It is connected. And everything that is happening in this community is transformative. So I do invite you, get your membership and get it going today. For those of you who are members, I invite you, join me in the chat room, because we're going to go further into this robust discussion. I'll be right there. I'm just going to freshen up my tea, and I'm coming right on in. So thank you so much, everyone. I'll see you just shortly. Thank you.